Hello, YouTube. There are many big issues facing our nation that are being ignored or downplayed by mainstream politicians. One of those is the rise of industrial farming and the negative impacts on the local farmers and the environment. Farming largely began with the Tyson company vertically integrating, a form of monopolizing, the chicken industry. They control every aspect of the chicken from egg to the dinner plate. Tyson sets their standards for how the chicken is cared for on the farm. Farmers must sign a contract with the company to adhere to the standards and sell all the chickens to the company for slaughter. This level of control over the industry has made the Company massive profits and has cornered the chicken market. The Tyson Company has since expanded into the hog market and has created the same structure of vertical integration, which has largely cornered the hog supply. In Iowa, the vast majority of farmers have become industrialized. They have to build barns up to the Tyson standards and must follow their policies on how the hogs are cared for. Almost all the hogs in Iowa are owned by Tyson. While Tyson makes the massive profits for the chickens and hogs, they do not take the large share of the risk. The farmers raising the animals take the largest share of risk. The majority of the factors that can damage the products, i.e., the animals, happen on the farm. The most obvious risk is that the animals can get sick and die. This can also spread like wildfire in the cramped industrial farms that Tyson requires the farmers to build. If a bad outbreak of disease hits a farm, it can wipe out the animals and seriously hurt the farmer's ability to make a livelihood. But there are other risks as well. The buildings have to meet Tyson standards. This means that they must be kept up to those standards at all time. This can cost a lot of money up front transitioning to Tyson and will cost money over time to maintain the facility. Weather can play a big factor in this as well. A major storm, especially a tornado, can wipe out a farm and destroy the farmer's livelihood. Tyson does not take as much risk here because they are not putting the money into caring for the chickens and hogs. They get to take the product once it hits peak value and sell it for a profit. This vertical integration has crushed small chicken and hog farmers. The majority of Iowa's hog farmers have either industrialized through Tyson or have left their farms. This has drastically changed the face of small farming communities. There are fewer farmers than a generation ago. They are more spread out and have lost their sense of community through the old local markets. Many of the hog markets have had to shut down or see far less traffic than a few decades ago. Instead of being at the center of a farming community, the hog market is just a small relic of the past. Now the vast majority of the farmers are already contracted to sell to Tyson. Though there is also a large and usually overlooked impact that these industrial farms have on a community. The local environment has been heavily damaged by the practices put in place by Tyson. One thing that we try to rarely think about is the massive amounts of poop that these animals make. All that poop has to go somewhere. It is a major issue on industrial hog farms because hogs poop more than humans, like 3 times more. When you have a farm with millions of hogs, that can add up really fast. So where does it go? On family farms, the poop would be used as manure for the very crops that feed the hogs. A kind of circle of life thing, but without seeing animals. Industrial hog farming uses the lagoon and spray field system to store and dispose of waste. In this system, waste is stored in a large open lagoon and is then sprayed onto fields as fertilizer. The solids sink to the bottom of the lagoon and become sludge, which is a concern for environmentalists and nearby residents. There are many types of pollution and concerns from this type of waste disposal. The waste from the hog farms can pollute the air with toxic particles that can be smelled for miles away. When crops are sprayed with waste, up to 200 gallons of fecal matter and urine can be propelled into the air each minute. Waste from the hog farms can pollute groundwater and waterways. The waste can contain pathogens, bacteria, and heavy metals that can be toxic. When storms cause lagoons to flood, the surrounding communities can be put at risk. These issues can cause major pollution in the local environment. Residents living near a hog farm have experienced health problems, including respiratory ailments, mucus irritation, and increased stress. The environmental degradation from hog farming can disproportionately affect low income communities of color. Those who can't afford to move away will, and the people who will be left behind will come from the lower classes. The communities around industrial farms have been seriously harmed physically, economically, and socially. So, what is the solution to this issue? The breakup of the vertical integration of the industry by companies like Tyson is one major step that must be taken to end industrial farming. Returning to the family hog and chicken farm and far more renewable strategies that do not pollute the land is the better way to produce our meat. Opponents to this may argue that this will hurt the supply chain of chicken, pork, and other products to the supermarket. They will claim that this will hurt people being able to get access to food and the prices will skyrocket. But quite frankly, go to the grocery store and tell me what has been happening to the prices. The industrial farming method has not decreased food insecurity. It has not lowered the prices at the grocery stores. What has it done? It has increased the massive amount of food waste in the West and has destroyed every aspect of rural life in America. The major corporations have sacrificed the small farmer and the environment for short term profit. This is not a sustainable way to raise animals and feed the world. We must accept one simple fact: companies do not care about anything other than profits. Food insecurity will not be solved by increased food production. The more food that is produced simply creates more wasted food. Companies like Tyson can provide groceries and restaurants a steady stream of chicken and pork, but it is at the cost of small farmers and communities. That is what we must ask ourselves. Is our short term comfort worth the destruction of small farmers? Are we so short sighted that we cannot see the long term damage we are causing? And most importantly, do we want yet another aspect of our world being controlled by a small elite few? When it comes to farming, we as a species had already figured out a good way to sustainably grow crops and raise livestock. It is only in the past few decades that we have decided to industrialize the process. The change has been most beneficial to the select few who control every aspect of the process. For the majority of us, there has not been many positives, and for many, their lifestyles have been forever altered. We must work to undo the vertical integration of industrialized farming and return to the tried and true method of family farming.